Okay, hello, hello. Welcome to our December Whitney Freya Studio Zoom. So these are free gatherings for anyone in any of my online programs. I do send out the invitations via our whitneyfreyastudio.com where you log in to my online classes. So if you're watching this on YouTube, which is where this all goes, so you can share it with anybody, when we're done, and you wanted to get the invite and you're in the studio, just log in, click on my profile and go to notifications. And you've probably just clicked a toggle that is preventing you from receiving these emails. So this has been a year now that we've been gathering. Number 12, we just started this last year because I just love circling up with you all. I love having these conversations and musings and exploring the apparently completely limitless ways that we can look at life as art and art as a medium, a modality to help us live life in a way that is aligned and lights us up. And besides the normal holiday, um, rushing and to doing and socializing and all that, we also have a lot of unknown looking ahead into 2025. And I do believe a lot of us, not all of us, perhaps have some more trepidation than others about what we might witness in 2025. And so I want to offer some musings and have a conversation after the guided meditation about how, one, to best care for ourselves, and two, kind of lenses we can look through and how we might choose to allow our creative spirits to play in these highly transformational, highly creative times whenever we're at crossroads or threshold moments, or it appears that life as we know it is getting flipped upside down or shaken. For better or for worse, those are actually really, really creative times, right? When things are comfy and cozy and everything's going great, we get a little complacent, only speaking from experience. So it's actually a really exciting time. And the degree to which your creative frequency is engaged is the degree to which I believe you can feel maybe perhaps oddly inspired by the days that we're living in. So let's go into that rabbit hole, shall we? Whew, feels exciting. Okay, I always put my hand on my heart and close my eyes for these meditations. I'm gonna have to keep checking to see if anyone's in the waiting room, but let's just go in, and the intention is to experience stillness. Barbara Fisher, you cannot hear the speaker. I think that would be a computer issue on your end. You all can hear me. Yeah. Okay. So Barbara, I would check your computer. Oh, but you can't hear me. Can someone put in the chat, like check your volume or something? I don't know. Anyway, that happens sometimes, doesn't it? So the intention is to connect to some stillness and also remember into the truth that everything is energy. Everything vibrates. Everything has frequency. Slow, fast, high, low, expansive, constricting. And for years and years and years now, for sure since I wrote Rise Above, which of course started way before the book came out in 2017, the message was that I was getting myself in meditations is that what we're all creating in every single moment is energy, whether you're aware of it or not. And so we can become even more consciously creative with the energy that, one, we are radiating, and two, that we are surrounding ourselves with. Just like you go to the canvas and you can pick from even an infinite palette of blues, all the blues you can create from, all the colors you can create from. We can also be that conscious with the energy that we choose to radiate through ourselves, radiate out, and surround ourselves with. For example, words are energy. And you might notice my words when I go into meditation state is not rock and roll. right? They are a lower frequency to match the meditative state. So tuning in and developing a sensitivity to energetics, how words, ideas, people, relationships, jobs, choices, right or left, which feels more aligned, which feels right. This is a superpower that I do believe we are going to be mastering more and more. So with that, if you'd like to close your eyes, you may, but first and foremost, invite in a whole new awareness around your breath. Breathing deeply 3 times has been proven on all fronts to bring you back into homeostasis and also to let your kind of higher level of consciousness know that you're slowing down, taking a step back, gaining some objectivity, creating some space from that reactionary energy. And maybe you can make your breath audible, like Ujjayi breathing if you go to yoga class, where you're inhaling in and out your nose, but you're allowing the breath to be audible. And then just take an inventory. How does your body feel inside? Does it feel like a rush hour traffic in there? Or does it feel calm? Where do you notice any tension? Maybe roll your neck around, your shoulders up and back, your jaw, your hips. We can be clenching, holding tension in places without any awareness. Maybe that traffic jam is slowing down, the roads are clearing. As you begin to feel quieter, more still. And then with each inhale, intend to breathe yourself into your center, into the present moment, right now. There's nothing else on your to-do list but breathing deeply and listening. Let yourself feel like that sense of relief, just collapsing into the moment. And where can you feel into yourself as an energetic being? I can feel the tips of my fingers pulsing. Maybe you feel your heartbeat, or you feel the warmth of your body compared to the cooler outside air. Feel the energy molecules almost slowing down as your breath perhaps becomes slower, finds a natural rhythm. And now I want to offer you two symbols to feel into as yantras, which are visual mantras. So symbols can be used just like a mantra, which is a phrase that's repeated in your known language or otherwise, that is meant to kind of wipe the slate clean in your mind or disrupt that monkey mind, to take it away from the, oh, I got to do that. I can't forget to do that. Just to play with the energy and to further develop our sense of energetic sensitivity. So first I want to invite you to imagine something very heavy. I'm picturing like a big weight, like it's coming from a old cartoon, like Roadrunner, Coyote, like those iron metal weights, something like dense iron weight. And just picture that and feel it. Feel the symbol as you can visualize it in your mind's eye. How big is it? Imagine yourself trying to lift it up. That feeling of being weighed down or heavy, feeling a heaviness, might be symbolized by the image you're imagining. You could feel your body heavy sitting wherever you're sitting. Maybe you can imagine hearing something or words or a story that makes you feel heavy. Just for a second, just to create our edges. Heaviness exists, it's okay. And then bring your awareness back to your breath. And now invite in a symbol that for you feels light. Perhaps it's a feather, or a butterfly, a white poofy cloud in the sky. And allow that sensation of lightness to ripple through your body. Maybe you have feather fans being wafted next to you by lovely people. Or you're watching a butterfly dance around you, flitting up and down and around, landing on a teeny tiny leaf that doesn't even move. See if you can feel that lightness. You could imagine yourself floating like the genie right out of a bottle. Or flying a kite. And if you can't feel the lightness, it's okay. This is kind of like a muscle that perhaps you haven't used in a while. Get excited to explore this process, this practice. And as you reconnect to your breath, choose the energy that you want to feel, to bathe yourself in right now. You get to choose anything you want. Peace, curiosity, grief, excitement, calm. You can choose anything you want. So feel that feeling. Choose it, just like choosing a color from your palette. Maybe you imagine a time when you have felt that way, or it's easy for you to get there. Choosing the energy and then telling your body to feel that. Feel grounded, feel secure, feel peaceful, feel calm, feel expansive. Inhale that feeling, that energy. And as you exhale, just surrender into that feeling more and more. Inhaling and exhaling. And now tune in to your energetic body, how it feels. I feel more like I'm on a dirt country road than a superhighway. Take a deep inhale and exhale. And whenever you're ready, open your eyes. And if you want, put in the chat the energy that you chose to feel. Just because I'm sure you all came up with some good ones that put in our energetic medicine bag. I just unpacked a book that I purchased from my friend Bikram. Mom, I have Bikram's cookbook. So Bikram was is a friend who lives in Portland who's originally from Nepal. And I met him right before I went there in 2016. And he gave me the contact for four of his best friends in Nepal. And I met all four of them. And they were restaurant owners and art gallery owners. They were my people for sure. And I remember leaving the last meeting, right, the day that I was flying out. And it was a gentleman who owned a Tanka art gallery. And I just loved learning about the artists and the Tanka art. That's that traditional um, Nepal art. Anyway, and he was so curious. He was like, maybe I can, when I come to the States and we can collaborate on an art gallery opening and all these things. And I just remember leaving and walking through the streets of Kathmandu and being overwhelmed with this sense of security and thinking to myself that I didn't even need like what was in my backpack at Bikram's parents' house, because all I needed really was energy. That energy was the real currency. Feeling emotional. Ah. And so that's been like my kind of guiding light, guiding kind of element is tuning in to my energy. And if I'm feeling a low vibration, the question becomes not what is causing the low vibration. I mean, I can go there. It's not like, but it's not about what's causing the lower vibration. It's what can I do to raise my vibration? Because the way we look at life from a low vibration, just like when you're really tired, you're a low vibration, right? And when you're really tired, everything is like, everything sucks and everything's hard and nothing's ever going to work, right? And then when we're able to raise our vibration, whether it's meditating or getting outside or going into the art journal or our paints and canvas, when we raise our vibration and a good night's sleep or day sleep or nap or whatever, and then when we have that higher vibration, we're able to look at, if needed, whatever brought us down from a higher perspective, right? All of a sudden, you can extend compassion to the person that dot, dot, dot. So for me, this feels like very real, important uh, practices, like a sensitivity to tune into right now. It impacts everything. 30 Days to Unstoppable is like part two of this energetic journey where I was given a way, like a practice with the yantra that is Metatron's cube and the six spheres of wellness to make visible how we can consciously nurture specific energies in our life, creating an energetic frequency within and around us that will provide us with the sense of safety and security that I think we all desperately want. And it's always been for me since the beginning, since I started this whole journey in 96, is how when we live life as art, we are we are provided with like tools and skill sets to help when the inevitable structures around us break down so they can transform, we can stay in our center, observing, not necessarily liking, but we can stay in our center and we can lean into the truth around energetics, which is like attracts like. That's just how energy works. And we can all, there's no end to the possibilities to play with this. So this is why I love to work with symbols. This is why my painting practice, right? Like all like painting the intentions and the words and the images and the colors that light us up, that lighten us up. And then surround myself with images that always call my consciousness higher. And in the most challenging times, like when I'm the lowest, I go to the canvas and I always leave the canvas with a higher perspective and in my power, right? So this is why we paint. So I just want to remind everyone about that because one, it can be really easy when we get super busy to feel like we don't have time for that. Okay. And that's the old story that has doing these unproductive, fun, playful things as like low on the totem pole. Okay. Self-care has just become tippy top on your list, ladies. Right? And making time and space for your creative practice is hugely important. Besides the fact, the super cool thing about energy as well is that your energy impacts her energy and my energy. And in your community, and when you go around, even to the grocery store and the post office, if you are coming from a place of possibility and love and compassion, that makes a difference. Just like we've all been in line with someone complaining or hearing people arguing, and it's not soothing, right? It's disturbing. And it's fine, like, but it's just an is. We feel the difference. So how can we make a difference? What can we do? The first thing is be the change. All right, get yourself to a place of unity, of harmony, of peace, of compassion. If we're going to expect it out there, we better be doing it in here. More than not, at least 51% of the time, right? None of us are perfect. So with that, how many of you have been able to receive or, like have worked with symbols for your year, have picked a symbol, received a symbol for 2024? Like how many of you had, yeah? Okay. Put the symbol or symbols that you worked with for 2024 in the chat, will you please? So back in the day, we used to have New Year's resolutions, which I feel like gratefully have kind of fallen to the wayside because I don't know about you, but those didn't seem to stick very long. And then another super fun thing is to pick a word, right? Which is awesome. And then another option is to receive a symbol. So I usually, almost always, for some reason, ever since I started this, I get two symbols. It just is. Why not? You can even have three if you want. Okay. And it doesn't mean that you can't work with other symbols throughout the year. But I always get super curious when I receive the symbols for the next year, which I normally do in November, December, because like even just right now, so my symbols for this year, 2024, were the lotus flower and the rainbow. And look at this, the theme of this discussion right now, right? It's like from the shadows, we are going to transform. Both of those are the lotus and the rainbow. So that's the kind of thing that happens with these symbols is sometimes in hindsight, it'll be like, whoa, that's why that symbol was offered to me. The year I bought my house in 2018, I was working with the bee. And I realized later that the bee helped me find my hive, right? So, and what I love about symbols is that symbols, one, are very multidimensional. There's like a herd of deer walking, crossing the road in front of me. The symbols can show up in many, many different ways and mean many, many different things, right? Like if I say rainbow, you all probably think of slightly different things. Owls, one of my favorite yantras, my main animal totem. Owls can be these cute, sparkly, colorful things, right? They can also be fierce predators. right? With tremendous superpowers. So the symbols can show up differently. And also, the symbols have zero baggage, pretty much. I mean, I guess some of us might be developing symbol baggage at this point. If you've been working with symbols for a while, maybe we could potentially get symbol baggage, but I don't feel any negative symbol baggage. Um, Whereas words just can have baggage. They can trigger thoughts that maybe aren't in alignment with what you desire in general, like affirmations and things like that. Like for goals or visions, like write a best-selling book, sell 1 million copies, which some part of my brain's like, oh, well, look at you thinking you're all that. I can assign a symbol to my best-selling book, right? Which I have this long, big symbol. It's in the last chapter of Rise Above. And that just embodies the energy that is behind that desire, right? Or my symbol for growing my business became the hot air balloon because I didn't think I was a workaholic enough to ever like be successful enough to earn enough money to survive. And the hot air balloon told me if I keep my vibration high and share from that place, it'll be nothing but blue skies. Or maybe not nothing but blue skies, but blue skies. And so whenever I got worried, I would imagine the hot air balloon. No business baggage with the hot air balloon. Yes, right, Maggie. There's always more room in Mary Poppins' bag for symbols. So I want to just open up the floor. And if you have a symbol that you particularly love, the feather is one of my favorites that came into the meditation. When I'm feeling heavy or down, if I just bring a feather to mind, it's almost like I just feel this lightness bubbling up through my whole body. Um, so share a symbol. Or if you have your symbols for this coming year, if you want to share, or the symbols you worked with last year, or what your experience was in the meditation, what your relationship is to your energy work. Some of you are energy workers. I'm fully aware. Some of you may be new to feeling into your energetic body or the energy of words. And I'm so grateful you're here. Like, I love that because these are all super fun things to get curious about. And if nothing else, to disrupt the go, 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 do voice in your head. So, who wants to share? Let's have a conversation, shall we? Just unmute yourself or raise your hand. Jen, do you have something to share? Yes, please. Will you get everybody going?
Sure. Um, so I had the oh my God, I forgot already. What did I say I had? My word was and, so that I would have to shift all of my oh my God, I can't but or whatever. And I would have to put and in there. And it's been tremendous. It's been every time I catch myself saying but, it's it's happening much less frequently now than it did at the beginning of the year. So I love that. And then my symbol was butterfly, which at first I was like, oh my God, that's so typical. And I was kind of rejecting it because it's not unique enough or it's not whatever. But actually, I really loved the idea of blooming. And what actually really cemented it for me just like 3 or 4 months ago, I went to a little meeting here in El Paso and there was a butterfly garden specialist who happened to be there. And excuse me, they said what's often misunderstood about butterflies is that, yes, we go from the caterpillar and then get all gooey and then become the butterfly, but we don't just become the butterfly all from all new pieces. That what the essence of the butterfly is in the caterpillar and in the goo. And so that somehow like it just brings my body goosebumps again, just because we don't have to think that we have to be all brand new or shift everything about us or what have you. There are ways that we can morph into better versions of ourselves every day. And it's just a process of pulling it forward into realization of what we want to see in our lives. So I really loved that.
Beautiful. I love my favorite butterfly kind of medicine or whatever is um, the truth about when they're ready to come out of the cocoon, maybe you might stumble upon a cocoon that looks like the butterfly is trying to get out, and maybe you might be tempted to like help the butterfly out of the cocoon so it didn't have to struggle. And if you do that, it doesn't have the opportunity to flex and break through each of those silken cords to develop the muscles that it needs to be able to fly. So it could emerge from the cocoon with those beautiful wings and never be able to fly, which would be horrible to
That
be
would
a
be
butterfly.
horrible. And
It
I
would be,
just ran a workshop this morning, and the main theme of it was that it's actually our conflicts and our struggles, like you're just mentioning, that are the greatest teachers for us.
yeah,
And that a life of just pure joy and ease would actually be boring.
exactly.
So
Gotta have the ups and downs, and the downs motivate the ups and all the things. So Stephanie, you're getting the butterfly. I worked with the dragonfly a couple years ago, which was one of those two that felt like, oh my God, everyone and their mother works with dragonfly. But what I loved about it, the predominant kind of energy that I got from it was you can imagine a dragonfly landing on like the very little tip of grass again, and the grass like barely moves and then it flits off very quickly, right? So I imagine myself touching down really lightly on things that, might disrupt or upset or whatever. And it was like, okay, I can just barely touch down on that experience. Um,
that's so beautiful.
so, you can become your symbol, embody it, and see where that leads you. But lots of fun. And just doing that is meditation. Okay, so the only certification I have for anything is now this Radiant Sutra meditation certification or whatever. And what I loved about Lauren Roche and his wife, Cecile, anyway, is they teach meditation exactly the same way I teach painting. Like it's all good, it's all accepted. It doesn't mean you have to be cross-legged and quiet and your fingers in a mudra. You can be dancing, you can be doing dishes, you can be imagining yourself as a butterfly. You think of it as creating contrast and just getting quiet. But these symbols can be beautiful ways to meditate. Okay, who else? Share your wisdom with us for 2025 or with symbols, energy.
I can go, Whitney.
Oh, good. Thank you,
So,
Janet.
so the light or the light object, I'm a fiber artist. The light object was mohair that came, and I saw a ball of mohair, not a wound ball, but just almost like when it mats, that kind of a ball,
Mhm.
which was okay. And then the sort of the word um, in our sound bath therapy class, the instructor came up with the concept of being the hollow bone and being the vehicle, the vessel that the messages and the medicine, that people need to hear, the vibrations flows through. So I kind of danced with hollow, yeah, hollow.
Mhm.
And I think I'm going to stick with hollow bone um because I think it expresses the structure, the solid found structure, yet the openness to let things flow through and to not let stuff that doesn't need to stick and stay. Whatever has to pass through, whether it's good or bad, whatever has to get to others. So I'm using that, those two words.
Beautiful. Yes, yes. Yeah, the teaching of the hollow bone, does anyone know which shamanic kind of origin that came from? But it's a shamanic teaching that teaches
Mm,
the hollow bone. Carol?
yeah, I can. Well, one thing that came to my mind is some of the oldest musical instrument is the hollow bone flute.
Yes.
We're talking thousands of years ago. Just pretty amazing. The thing about hollow bone or hollow is really that again, and like Persian, Native American, excuse me, was again very old flutes was reed flutes, and it's for the sound of God to pass through.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Janice.
Well, I could continue if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
So it's just a spontaneous because I haven't been on these calls and I wasn't thinking symbols or anything. I came on the call cold. But the heavy thing that you said, imagine something heavy. Mine was like a piano, a grand piano on top of it. And then I'm thinking, all right, how can I balance the grand piano on my legs, like juggle it? So that was a kind of funny thing with heavy. Light, of course, is the hummingbird, and I'm sure a million people think of hummingbird, but and the word then became sweetness of the nectar, that it's taking from the flowers. But my funny, spontaneous symbol that maybe it's going to be good for this year is a cauldron.
Oh.
Boil, boil, toil, and trouble. I might take that one on. I use the water in old cauldrons. I use that symbol of water always being replenished, like the star sign and the tarot and all that. These water carriers of always water that continues to be replenished. I know boil, boil, toil, and trouble is not exactly that same thing.
Yes.
But a water carrier, there you go. I think I totally have trepidations about next year. And so maybe I can just put a fire under it and, transform some of premature things haven't happened yet, but the threats of them are there, right? So
yeah. I feel we're all going to be called to really stay present right now, right? Because which of the four agreements? Don't make assumptions. We have at least another month or so, and then also again this highly creative transformational moment that we're living in. It really is. And this is like, maybe the bitter medicine, but it is medicine. Not unlike the trickster, the coyote, the sacred clown, the jester. It's all about turning things upside down so that they can be looked at objectively, they can be created. Sometimes when we're told we can't do something, what do we realize? Oh, we really, 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 really want to do it, right? So, so there's going to be an opportunity, and I do believe in this community. Next year we will have lots of opportunities to really lean in to this community and share our creative perspectives while also asking, like, I need more creative energy, I need to have conversations with creative people. And where else, how do we want to be a part of what we want to see in the world. You know, whether it's being um, super conscious of just being the change, like making sure that we are being truthful with ourselves and compassionate with ourselves and loving with ourselves, to doing things differently just on a grassroots level. You know, um, these, like when, and I'm reminded of like you light one candle in a dark room, what happens, right?
Whole room is lit.
Yeah. So, you know, the dark and the light have a very co-creative relationship. And of course, new growth with Mother Nature always begins in the dark, right? So we can look at it that way, and we can take responsibility as co-creators of our reality to consciously create as much energetically of what we want to experience in the world. And so as much as I would have chosen a different story for parts of our life right now, I do believe that the way out is through, and what's in the way is the way, and that it's going to be some very exciting, interesting times. And if you just reflect for a moment as well, the creative frequency, as it's now let me know it wants me to call it, the creative frequency only knows possibility. Like there's nothing you can throw at the creative frequency that it's going to be like, yep, you're right. There's nothing we can do with that.
Mm,
Never, ever, ever, ever,
mm,
never. So if you start feeling, or if people around you are completely overwhelmed with the heaviness, maybe you might just happen to have your art journal or a canvas out and the paints out when they come over after you invite them over. And maybe you sit down and paint and invite them to watch and ask them for words that you might like them, that they might like you to paint into the canvas. And then maybe you invite them to paint a word on the canvas. With just that, I've seen people liberated from whatever creative wound, and sometimes see them years later and their art is hanging in a gallery somewhere or something.
mm.
Not that that's the end goal, but I am thinking of a woman who came to my art center back in Nashville and like, say, let's just say 98 or something. And she came in with her daughter, and sat her daughter down, and I gave her daughter whatever paints and things to do. And the mom was just sitting there, and I'm like, well, why don't you play too? And I just put paper and watercolors in front of her. And literally 4 or 5 years later, she was listed on a postcard as the artist in this art show. And I don't know how I saw her again, but I was like, what? She goes, you outed me that one visit. She goes, I kept signing up for art classes and then canceling because I was afraid I wouldn't be good enough. And then you just like threw it in front of me. And I mean, I didn't do anything, right? I just put the paper in front. That's all it took. And
Mm.
not that they're hanging on gallery walls, but I'm just saying that's, you know, that kind of about face can happen. And what happens with this creative frequency is it aligns you with the energies that are like, well, what if you did this? What if you did that? What if you just reached out? What if you just emailed or gave someone a call or took the class or did the thing, right? It just keeps you in the present moment, taking steps that are headed and aligned with the direction of your vision, of your desire. So who knows what might happen? But you can get curious or ask for ways that you can, you know, support others who don't have these tools. And you have everything you need. If you have paints and something to put the paints on, that's all you need to just invite people in. give them another way of looking at things, and kick in their creative frequency that will just naturally start bumping their thoughts to like, okay, but what if he did this, or what about that, or right? Okay, who has one more symbol you can share, or a symbol story? Amanda, yes, please.
Hello, I'm on my phone. Sorry, so I hopefully you can hear me okay.
We can hear you just
So,
fine.
oh great. Good morning.
Good morning.
Spider has
Oh,
come through for
spider.
me. So definitely. So I was doing a big huntsman was following me around the house for a couple of days, and then I was doing Alexis Cohen's Peace Portal and a spider fell on my face. Okay, so yeah, but what I'm fascinated by is the spider legs and the weaving, and it's something to do with the doing of the being. So something to do with my divine masculine coming out with the fem, and the spider is such a feminine symbol. I just find that really interesting. Yes, and in the meditation we did, I was with you. I was in the cartoon with the big. And this little spider immediately came and put one leg up, and I was like, like spinning the weight.
Oh,
It was incredible. Yeah. So I got a lot of lightness of being, a lot of, oh, it's not as heavy as you think, and blah, blah, blah. And I've got the power with one little, what is it? Spider leg? Yeah.
beautiful. I
So
love
I
it.
thought I'd share that. Yeah.
Thank you, Amanda. Yeah, spider is actually the symbol for the artist and creativity because it creates that beautiful web from within. And yeah, grandmother spider, so all the stories, so think of like the old myths and the Native American stories and even fairy tales and all that. They're all symbolic, right? And so the story of grandmother spider, like weaving the web, of reality. Um, and and I remember thinking it was a couple years ago that story kind of landed in my awareness differently. And I remember thinking like, okay, like there wasn't really a big grandmother spider weaving the universe. And then it was an understanding that symbolically, you know how one little part of the spider web moves and it's felt throughout the whole web, right? So that's how life in this universe is,
Yeah.
right? So that's the story of grandmother spider. And in these big stories, these stories of creation typically have a great mother connected to them.
Love it.
Stay tuned for more from the great mother, right, mother? Um, okay, so does anyone else have anything you want to share? I'm going to go into shameless self-promotion mode here in a second. So speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay. Sacred Circle Day is coming up. Ah, and I thought I was going to do one thing and whoosh, nope, we're changing it. So Sacred Circle Day is December 31st, New Year's Eve. And don't worry, we'll be done in time for you to get to your balls and your parties and all of that. I've done Sacred Circle Days at the end of the year, I think since 2016, which is all of a sudden kind of a chunk of time. And I created them because I wanted to create space for me to very intentionally kind of bring closure, send gratitude to this year, and then vision into next, right? Because if I don't really block it out, it's probably not going to happen. So, so I created it selfishly so that I would have a sacred circle day with other amazing people that also like to have these super fun, magical, mystical conversations. And so our theme for this sacred circle day is around, and some of you might have heard me talk about this since actually being in Australia or New Zealand last year, is around focused energy. So we talked today about how everything is energy, like literally everything, right? Like the chair you're sitting on, the clothes on you, plants, window, glass, everything is energy. But you, my dear, are particularly focused energy. One of my symbols for next year is the lightning bolt. So we are going to experience a whole sacred circle day that is intended to help you connect to yourself as incredibly, divinely focused energy to take into 2025. So you'll be seeing the emails, but if you go to whitneyfreyastudio.com right now, it's up. It's right there on the home page, whitneyfreyastudio.com, and there is a sliding scale. So you can choose to pay, what is it? I think it's either 77 or 88 and then 55, and like it's a sliding scale. So so it should be super available for anybody. Anyone who's attended knows it's a magical day. You also get instant access. But wait, there's more. You get instant access to the 2023 Sacred Circle Day, where we were inspired by the Star Tarot card, and we painted that. And also you get 2022 Sacred Circle Day, where we painted a mandala. And then you have pretty much as long as you would want access to that. It doesn't go away for a couple of years, probably. Until I have to clear space for new courses. So anyway, I highly encourage joining Sacred Circle Day. And I think it's perfect. I don't normally do them on New Year's Eve, but I think being right on the cusp there is not a bad idea this year. So, so I hope you all join me for that, right? Anyone else have anything you want to offer before we close? So if you felt a little slower, a little calmer, a little more centered at the end of that meditation, it didn't take very long, right? So connect to your breath. And if there's anything inside that feels tense or quick, like I literally felt like I had rush hour Chicago going on in my body and I closed my eyes. I'm currently painting my son's room white, the pine molding and everything. So I've been sanding and painting in the little grooves all morning. So it was like all of that was still going on. And then we brought a symbol into a symbol and an energy that we chose. At any given moment, doesn't mean it'll always be easy, but at any given moment, you can choose any energy you want to feel and align with. You don't need any amount of money in your bank account. You don't need anything fancy to do it, just your own precious mind and awareness. So just remember that, you know, instead of slip sliding down into the, no, we're doomed, we're never going to make it. We can do it, ladies. Right? Ah! And we can do it so much more better and more funner because we're all here together doing it. So yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so hopefully I will see you on the 31st, or who knows what else is coming up. And I'm very grateful for all of you. Those of you joining us for the first time, I'm so glad you did. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And feel free to pop into the Whitney Freya Studio Facebook group, right? And share any symbols, or as you receive your symbols for the new year, people have kind of illustrated, they will find you. Like the spider landing on your face, that's a pretty good example. Normally they repeat. Something comes up and you're like, woo, that feels yummy. And then it repeats again and repeats again. That's how you know it's your symbol. So if you have any questions about that, lean into the group or connect with however you connect with this community. Okay, everyone, have a fabulous weekend. Happy Friday the 13th. Oh, we didn't even go there. Friday the 13th. Okay, real quick. 13, always associated with the divine feminine, right? 13 moon cycles. They made it bad luck because we're so powerful. They had to make it bad luck. So now we know it's a lucky day. And we got Freya's Friday and the 13th. So boom, it's going to be a good rest of the day. And if you're in Australia, you had it yesterday, but you're still in the shadow, we'll say. Okay, bye everybody. Bye bye. If you watched on YouTube, thank you. I'll be able to share this with people on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. So if anyone else needs to lighten up, you can send them that way. Thank you. Bye, Trish. Bye, Amy.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.